Chapter 667, Unreasonable Demands. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Soon, 1/3 of the time had passed. Zhang Yuochen has finally managed to organize the cultivation methods of the second sword manual. Just like what he had expected, bits of glimmering spots started flying out of the jade stone statue, entering his body as they fell on him and converged toward the heart of the sword in Chi-Si. He was getting close to the advanced stage realm of the heart integrated into sword. In the remaining time, he accelerated the classification of the cultivation methods and sorted 2 methods in a row. Swoosh! The jade stone statue shone with brilliant white light, sending out grains of glimmering white spots that wrapped around Zhang Yuochen completely. The heart of the sword started absorbing the glimmering white spots and immediately condensed into a silver ball. The silver ball floated in the middle of Chi-Si like a liquid pellet. At last, Zhang Yuochen succeeded in reaching the advanced stage of the heart integrated into sword, and the heart of the sword turned into a silver pill. The jade stone statue seemed to have come alive and opened its mouth. It said in a deep voice, "You have successfully reached the advanced stage of the heart integrated into sword at this tender age. You are truly a genius of Tao of the Sword. If you can bear all the hardships and practice hard, given time, I promise you that you will become a sword saint. This time, I would like to give you a helping hand. Take it as a contribution from the juniors of Yin and Yang sect." The old monk had passed away many years ago, but his divine soul clung to the statue of the jade stone. "Thank you very much, master." Zhang Yuochen stood up and bowed. The jade stone statue said, "You have made progress in your realm, but failed to break through this stage. Come again next time." Zhang Yuochen stood his ground with no intention of leaving. He said, "According to the cultivation methods on the statue, I have created a set of low class of spiritual sword techniques. Why did I fail?" "Have you created the sword technique?" "I know, you must have used 2 sides of your minds. As you were sorting out the sword technique, you were running the heart of the sword in the Chi-Si to create and practice sword technique. So, I want you to practice the sword technique you have created. If you're successful, you can pass this stage." The statue said. Zhang Yuochen drew the valley water sword and practiced the sword technique. Chifa was the first one to go forth from the palace. She walked out effortlessly and stood on the narrow mountain path, neither going uphill nor downhill. No one knew if she had passed this stage or not. Xu Chenxing was the second to come out. He was in a trance and his face was full of sweat like a soulless creature. He had successfully organized a cultivation method but failed to create the sword technique within the given 2 hours. As a result, his breakthrough failed. Generally speaking, Xu Chenxing did not lack comprehension ability, but he was used to practicing exercises and martial techniques that were summarized by the predecessors, so he was not capable of creating his own martial technique. A man like that was outstanding, but it was hard to bring himself to the peak of the Holy Road. Kandong placed 3rd and had failed as well. Kandong's shortcoming was his weak comprehension ability. Outstanding as he was, he was far from being a genius and could not match up with the top geniuses. When he saw Kandong fail, Xu Chenxing's mood got better. Kandong gazed at the second palace and asked, "Did Liu succeed?" 2 hours have passed. "I guess he failed," said Chifu. Kandong frowned and said, "At his age, he is capable of practicing sword 1 to the 7th realm. He shouldn't have any shortcomings. How could he fail?" Xu Chenxing hummed and said, "Except for genius of Tao of the Sword, who would be capable of breaking through this stage. Lin Yue boasts his current cultivation of Tao of the Sword merely by going through some adventures. He himself may not have strong ability." Creak. Before Xu Chenxing could even finish his sentence, the palace's gates opened and Zhang Yuochen stepped out. On the cliff, Chifu, Kandong and Xu Chenxing had their eyes fixated on Zhang Yuochen. Zhang Yuochen looked at the 3 other fighters in surprise and said, "What's wrong? Did you all pass? How about sprinting together to the mountain top of the 2nd level mountain? The second holy spring should be more advanced than the first one." Xu Chenxing's face fell. Kandong said frankly, "I failed, so I can't go to the mountain top this time, but you should have a try. I hope, as is expected, you can reach the mountain of the 2nd level mountain, or even of the 3rd. Chifa fixed her glance on Zhang Yuochen and said, "I'll go with you." Her voice was pleasant to the ear, ethereal and pure. People envied Zhang Yuochen for climbing the mountain together with the beauty. However, Zhang Yuochen did not think so. He saw her as a venomous scorpion. Please, Zhang Yuochen kept a straight face and graciously reached out a hand to give an inviting gesture. Chifu turned her tender back to Qindong and Xu Chenxing. She quickly glanced at Zhang Yuochen with a weird smile in her glowing and starry eyes. Her elegant temperament, flawless face but eerie smile made Chifu seem creepy. In the Yin and Yang sect, numerous people pursued her. The young geniuses were all obsessed by her transcendence and purity. However, who would know what she's been hiding? Qindong and Xu Chenxing stared at Zhang Yuochen and Chifu disappear on the mountain path with jealousy. Despite the beautiful scenery, underneath the beauty was danger. Once they were out of Qindong and Xu Chenxing's sight, Zhang Yuochen immediately stopped everything to space out Chifu about 33 meters. Chifu did not turn around and said in a soft voice, "We can be allies instead of fighting with each other. Any infighting will only lead to a lose-lose result." Zhang Yuochen did not approach her and asked with a smile, "Can I trust you?" "The reason why I wanted to kill you is that I think you are a genius with potential of being a sword saint, so if I kill you and frame Xu Chenxing with it, Yin and Yang sect will lose two of their top geniuses." Chifu was calm. Even though she was talking about murdering, she kept a calm and beautiful demeanor. She added, "Since you are not a disciple of the Yin and Yang sect, why should I kill you?" Zhang Yuochen ran his genuine chi to withstand the force of the second-level mountain. Slowly stepping forward with sure footing, he said, "It is not impossible to reconcile, but I have one condition." "What condition?" Zhang Yuochen stopped and said, "Take off your clothes. I want to have a look." Chifu paused and looked back at Zhang Yuochen. She said calmly, "Don't you think you're being rude by asking that?" "I don't think so." Zhang Yuochen added, "I'm actually being nice by asking you like this. Otherwise, I would have already opened the sky eye and searched for your flaw without your permission." "What's my flaw?" Chifu asked. Zhang Yuochen smiled with no reply. The immortal vampires were able to control their flesh and skeletons to change themselves into other unrecognizable persons so that they could easily hide in any major forces. However, all immortal vampires own a pair of blood wings. Even when they tuck their wings into their bodies, the structure of their backbones was different from that of a normal human being. Their flaw was definitely their backs. Ginfu just smiled and ignored Zhang Yuochen, showing no interest of reconciling with him. Then she started walking toward the mountain top. "I had given you a chance. Since you didn't take it seriously, don't blame me for what I am about to do." His hands pressed on his temples and the sky eye between his eyebrows appeared. A ray of light column shot out and landed on Chifu. The light of the sky eye was blocked by a thick curtain of fog. It was impossible to see Chifu's true body. Chifu jeered at him and said, "Since I am brave enough to lurk in the Yin and Yang sect, I definitely have a way to hide my true body. Only by using your sky eye, can you see me through?" Zhang Yuochen withdrew the sky eye and said, "It doesn't matter. Even though I can't see through the fog this time, doesn't mean that I won't be able to see it forever. Sooner or later, I will make you show me your true body." They did not say anything more, but began to fend against the force of the second-level mountain with all their strength and ascended to the mountain top. The force of the second-level mountain was much more powerful than that of the first one, which posed great challenges to the monk's willpower. Even Zhang Yuochen could feel the struggle catching up to him, and he was climbing at a slower speed. Sweat poured out of Chifu's forehead and slid along her face, nearly drenching her robe. Soon, Zhang Yuochen caught up and walked past her. Chifu raised her head and looked forward with strange eyes. She had not predicted Zhang Yuochen's willpower to be stronger than hers. With the help of the mountain's force, I will have a chance to take a revenge on her. However, after contemplating for a while, he shook his head. Although his will was stronger than Chifu, it was costing him a lot to withstand the force. If he were to use up his power to fight her, he might put himself in a dangerous situation. Besides, Ginfu would not allow herself to be trampled on. Who knows if she has other trump cards? Zhang Yuochen temporarily restrained himself and started rushing up the mountain. Having spent 4 hours, He had traversed cloaks of clouds and mist and made it to the final step of becoming the first one to reach the top of the second-level mountain. At the moment, the saint's disciples also saw the figure on the mountain top of the ancient God's mountain. Look, someone has climbed to the second-level mountain. Who? Shifu or Qin Yufan? Who is it? Saint's disciples were all surprised because they were not familiar with the figure on the mountain top of the second-level mountain. Is that Lin Yue from the Long Living Yard? It really looks like him. How could he achieve that? Lin Yue is just a new disciple. There is no way he could climb up the second-level mountain. Seeing the figure on the mountain top of the second-level mountain, Xun Hualiu and Mu Jiji were struck with amazement, speechless.